Hello! In today's video I would like to demonstrate what to my mind is a professional game. Well, what does actually professional mean? To me, I have always associated the word professional chess or a professional game in what in tennis would be serve and volley play. So how does that translate to chess? Well, I grew up in the 90s and I formed as a chess player in the 90s, and the 90s were characterized by Kasparov's very powerful chess preparation, opening preparation, where the scenario that he would be pursuing would be to obtain an advantage when playing with the white pieces out of the opening, and then with forceful, precise play, convert that advantage. So in a way, a powerful serve, which means powerful opening preparation, giving an advantage, and then the volley being the conversion of that advantage. So I have always thought that this is in a way the perfect way to play chess, and this is how I have always tried to play, especially with the white pieces. With the black it would be a bit different, even though there as well powerful opening preparation would I would always try to use it as basis for obtaining good middle game position, whether that be a middle game equalizing the game or obtaining counter chances depending on the choice I had made. Nowadays it's a bit different because it's difficult to obtain an advantage with the white pieces out of the opening, but sometimes it's possible, especially when you manage to surprise your opponent. So in the games I'm going to show you, I got a very pleasant position out of the opening in the Petroff defense. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight e5, d6, knight f3, knight e4, d4, d5, bishop d3, main line, one of the main attempts for white. In the Petroff I was playing an international master who had the Petroff as his main defense, so I could prepare properly and very in a detailed way against it. So he chose the line with bishop d6, made popular by Caruana and also Nepomniachtchi, both of whom prepared the Petroff for their matches with Carlsen. Castles, c4, c6, rook e1, one of the many attempts, rook e8, knight c3, knight c3, bc3, and now my opponent was, I would guess, surprised by me entering this mainstream theory, and he thought for some 15 minutes, and instead of the usual theoretical move, which is to take on e1, rook e1, he played d takes c4, and this is already an imprecision. So my surprise and good preparation paid off. However, this not being the theoretical move, I did not make the most forceful move here, which would have been the move bishop g5, attacking the queen, and after rook e1, queen e1, queen f8, bishop c4, white has an excellent position with all the pieces nicely developed, whereas black still has to finish development. The immediate threat is knight e5 and targeting the f7 pawn. I made the natural move bishop takes c4, which is also good but not the best, second best. Bishop g4 now, bishop g5, so I inverted the move order a little bit. Should have played bishop g5 instead of bishop c4, but this also sufficed. Queen d7, rook takes e8, queen takes e8, and in this position we could say that the serve or the opening is finished, and it has been a successful one because white does have a pretty pleasant position. And here I was tempted by a very nice combination which actually happened in the game, and I managed to calculate everything until the end, as you will see. But upon closer inspection, turns out that this was not the best way to play in this position. But I think you will excuse me for and pardon me for not choosing the best move, because the combination is really I would say pretty nice. So best here was to play queen d3, and after queen d7 to go rook e1 with the threat of knight e5. Key idea for white in these positions, attacking the queen but also attacking the pawn on f7. So this would likely net white the bishop pair after black is forced to take on e5 with the bishop. So this, objectively, this was best. But I chose the tempting move queen b3. The queen attacks b7. There is increased pressure on f7, and there is the threat of rook e1. What's not to like, right? And luckily for me, my opponent fell for the combination I had in mind, and the game ended really with a really satisfying finish. The best move here for black was actually to go queen d7. The moves I checked were obviously queen d7, bishop f3 also, but I thought this just gives me an extra pawn after queen b7 intermediate move attacking the rook, knight d7, g takes f3. So I have the pair of bishops, I have an extra pawn, the pawn on c6 is hanging. Okay, my king is a little bit weakened, but in view of my active pieces, black shouldn't really be able to take advantage of my weakened king. I thought the only move was queen d7, and now I considered two moves. One was knight d2 with the idea of knight e4, and the other one was knight e5, the more, let's say, principled one, forcing black to take because it's a multiple attack on f7, d7, g4. So black must take d5, b5, and now bishop f1. And I consider this as somewhat more pleasant for white, pair of bishops and possibility to attack on the queen side with a4. But in reality, black can be to a certain extent satisfied with how he survived this onslaught, because he has really good control over the light squares. So after something like bishop e6, and there is good control over the light squares as a way of compensation for white's advantages of the bishop pair. So this would have been best for black. But in the game, he went for b5, and this is what I was hoping for. And here I uncorked my combination. Bishop, rook e1 first, attacking the queen, bringing the last piece in the game, queen d7, and bishop f7 check. And now everything is forced. So again, I would say that I calculated this when I was thinking over queen b3 earlier. So I calculated actually until the very end. Queen takes f7, rook e8 check, bishop f8, and now I checked both bishop e7 and knight e5, which I eventually played. I found this a bit more aesthetically pleasing. Knight e5 attacking the queen, forcing queen takes b3, a takes b3, and now this is just dead lost for black because the rook is paralyzing black along the 8th rank. The immediate threat is bishop e7, winning that bishop on f8. So bishop h5, and after rook d8, my opponent actually resigned, and it's hopeless, yeah, because there is no defense. There is no defense against bishop e7. And the line I actually calculated when starting the whole combination was c5 to be able to have this knight c6 trick. So bishop e7, knight c6, attacking the rook and the bishop, at least trying to get some material back. Rook a8, knight e7. But I continue the line, knight d7. Still, that bishop is the problem that black will cost black the game. Knight g6, and now dc5. So this was the idea. The pawn will cost black more material. So king f7, knight takes f8, knight takes f8, c6, and white will win a piece. For example, knight e6, c7, threatening queen, and if knight c7, rook a7, and the pinned knight is lost with the easily winning position for white. So this is the line I actually calculated when starting the combination. I think it's like around 14 moves long with some sidelines, but not that difficult to calculate because most of the lines were forcing and there were not too many alternatives along the way. So nice game, satisfying game for me, and in a way I think this is what, like, to me, a professional game would look like with the white pieces, especially when playing weaker opposition when trying to win. In a way it depicts the ideal scenario which to my mind white should pursue. But I have to add that this is my personal view. Other players obviously have other preferred scenarios how their games should develop, and that's perfectly fine. But okay, to me, it's like this type of serve and volley chess, as I like to call it, really gives me the most satisfaction. And when it works, yeah, it works really nice, as you could see in this game. So that's it for this week's video. Check out my Substack to read about the death of the professional. I just published it on my Substack. Check out my Twitter, my Chessable courses. Follow me on socials, and stay tuned for more videos on this channel. Take care.